right, the hot seat really warmed up for multiple coaches in college football this past week, and Mike Gundy was one of them. Gundy was fired on Tuesday, ending his 21-year reign as head coach in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Now, Oklahoma State hosts Baylor this week, and they're trying to snap their 11-game losing streak against FBS opponents. Offensive coordinator Doug Meacham is serving as the interim head coach for this matchup on Saturday at 3:30 Eastern. So let's welcome back the guys, Shehan, Jeyarajah, and Bud Elliott. Guys, it's the first game for OK State without Mike Gundy. A lot of the times when we see these firings happen, it feels like the team kind of feels some sort of a spark and they sort of rally around the situation. Shehan, I know it's a hefty opponent and the injuries, we'll get to that for Oklahoma State, but can you kind of see that happening here in this matchup for Oklahoma State?
This one's such an interesting situation for a couple of reasons, but the biggest reason is that most of these players didn't come through this program together. They added more than 60 players over the offseason through the transfer portal in high school. 35 of them never got to campus until the summer. So that's kind of my question about this team. Is there even necessarily a cohesive culture on the team? Because these are a lot of players who didn't grow up together, didn't know each other, didn't get recruited together. And so does that same sort of dynamic still applied? Now, look, at the same time, I think that everybody knows at this point, hey, you know what? At Oklahoma State right now, you are kind of cast off in some ways, right? This is going to be a lost season for this program. So everybody has the opportunity to come together, try to make the most of it, and nothing shows just how serious the situation is more than your 21-year head coach getting fired. But I don't know whether this team necessarily has the juice to make anything happen after this.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Shehan here. They might play a little bit harder. Maybe they like one of the assistants more who's now going to be calling the game. But ultimately, I don't think Oklahoma State did a great job in terms of bringing in quality in the transfer portal. They certainly brought in a lot of quantity, but they didn't bring in much in the way of like actually good players this offseason. I spoke with a group of 5 GM yesterday about something unrelated, and he was like, man, you could have seen this coming to Oklahoma State. They did not do a very good job in the portal. They didn't really get talent. We were looking at some of their takes, and we're like, what the heck are those guys doing? So maybe they play a little harder, but I don't know.
All right, and so the coaching situation, that's obviously not the only challenge that Oklahoma State is dealing with as they're trying to snap this horrible losing streak against FBS opponents. Their injury report makes the San Francisco 49ers injury report look like amateur hour.
Wow.
There are 17 players that are listed as out for this game. Oh my goodness. But how do you even try to overcome something like this?
Yeah, so this might actually reflect some of the attitudes of the team. I'm not going to go into individual decisions here, but you're seeing a little bit of this as well in Blacksburg, where all of a sudden we have a lot of injuries popping up, right, that happen to be related to maybe being able to not play the rest of the season, maybe preserve your red shirt, because remember in college football nowadays, you could play 4 games for free. The 5th one will cost you that year of eligibility. So I am curious to see, that's very odd that we would have so many injuries pop up against a very tough opponent in Tulsa the last time this team was on the field. So I hope all these guys get healthy in short order.
Well, I will throw out a lot of these guys did get hurt during that Oregon game when Oklahoma State got physically beat up for all 4 quarters of that game. But I mean, at the same time, I think that this is kind of a testament and a statement to how unprepared this roster was in so many ways. Oklahoma State strength coach Rob Glass is considered one of the best in the industry. He's historically done a very good job of building guys' bodies up over the course of multiple years in the program. Well, like we kind of talked about, a lot of these guys haven't been in the program for multiple years. They're guys who maybe didn't play a lot last year at power conference schools, maybe played at a lower level and haven't played opponents like Oregon to this point. So it's not a huge surprise to me that they're starting to break down already, but it's going to make things a whole lot harder when you still have a bunch of games left to play.
And let's look at the Baylor side of things, because they're still looking for their first conference win, and it might be easy to overlook an opponent that just fired their head coach. They have 17 guys listed as out on the injury report. So Shehan, how does Baylor prepare for this? How do they approach it and make sure they don't overlook this squad?
Well, I'll tell you what, let's go back to 2021 at Baylor, and there was another legendary coach at TCU this time, Gary Patterson, who got fired midseason. And by the way, the offensive coordinator on that TCU team was Doug Meacham, the interim head coach at Oklahoma State. They end up pulling a huge upset behind Jerry Kill and backup quarterback Chandler Morris that kept Baylor out of the college football playoff in 2021. So there is a history of this with Dave Aranda teams of saying, hey, you know what? we wasted our opportunity because we overlooked an opponent. I don't think that's going to be the case here for a couple of reasons. One, I think that Baylor is a little desperate for a win. They lose at the buzzer last week against Arizona State. They lose, of course, in week 1 against Auburn. This is a team that already has multiple losses, 2-2 on their record. They need this game. This is a must-win game in a lot of ways. And the other piece of this, too, is that Stillwater has not been a friendly place to Baylor football over the years. They've only won there twice in program history. I think that they are prepared for this game, and they managed to take care of business.
All right, with that, let's get a game prediction. But I'll come to you first. Baylor, 20.5-point favorites. Oof. Which way are you going, my friend?
I'm going to say Baylor by like 17 or 18. I don't really see what the impetus is here to like keep the hammer down. You have a very difficult stretch coming up. You got to play Kansas State, which obviously if they get on the right track, that could be difficult. I think they'll get out to a nice lead. Sawyer Robertson's really good, but I don't see why they feel the need to go crush somebody by 40.
Yeah, I think that this is more a situation of Baylor coming out and just trying to play their game. The bigger thing is I think Oklahoma State just might be horrendously bad, maybe the worst team at the power conference level. So I think it ends up being right around 21, so I'm going to pick Baylor to narrowly cover.
All right, Shehan, Bud, we certainly appreciate it previewing Baylor, Oklahoma State, Saturday, 3:30 Eastern time. Thank you so much, gentlemen. And of course, make sure you check out the CBS Sports College Football YouTube channel. You can subscribe right now by scanning that QR code. We'll be right back.